Imagine it's 3 a.m. The red telephone on the desk rings. You have exactly 15 minutes before intercontinental ballistic missiles rain down from the sky, turning everything on the surface into radioactive ash. There is nowhere to run. No place on the surface is safe. So, where do the most powerful people on Earth go? During the height of the Cold War, world governments spent billions of dollars on a paranoid, top-secret mission, building a hidden, subterranean world. We are talking about massive underground cities, entire mountains hollowed out from the inside, and subterranean submarine bases designed to survive the literal apocalypse. Decades later, the Soviet Union collapsed, the Cold War ended, and humanity moved on. But these colossal concrete behemoths didn't disappear. They were left frozen in time, buried deep beneath our feet, hiding classified secrets that were never meant to see the light of day. Today, we're going to step inside 10 of the most forbidden, classified Cold War mega bunkers left abandoned across the globe. And trust me, what you will see at number 10 will completely change how you look at modern history. Number 1. Project Bunkerization in Albania. To understand true paranoia, you have to look at Albania between the 1960s and 1980s, ruled by the communist dictator Enver Hoxha. The country became completely isolated from both the Western capitalist world and the Soviet Union. Hoxha developed an intense, obsessive fear that Albania was about to be invaded from all sides at any second. His solution? He ordered the entire country to be fortified with concrete. Over 2 decades, Albania built a staggering 173,000 bunkers. That is roughly 14 concrete bunkers for every single square kilometer of the country. If you walk through the Albanian countryside today, you cannot escape them. They are in schoolyards, on public beaches, high up in mountain passes, and in farmers' fields. But here's where the story gets darker. The crown jewel of this madness was a secret, 5-story underground complex hidden deep inside a mountain outside the capital Tirana, codenamed Bunkr 1. This was meant to be the ultimate safe haven for the dictator and his elite inner circle. It contained over 100 rooms, an underground parliamentary assembly hall, state-of-the-art air purification systems, and heavy gas-proof blast doors. And the most ironic part of all, Albania was never actually attacked. Millions of tons of concrete and steel were wasted, draining the nation's economy into poverty, just to build silent, eerie concrete tombs that stand completely untouched as a monument to human fear. Number 2. Bunkr 42 in Moscow, Russia. Right this second, thousands of people walk down Taganskaya Street in central Moscow, completely unaware of what lies hidden 65 meters directly beneath their feet. Deeper than a 20-story building. Above ground, it looks like an ordinary, mundane yellow brick building. But behind a heavy steel door and a security checkpoint, a massive vertical shaft plunges deep into the Moscow bedrock. This is Bunkr 42, a sprawling 7,000 square meter subterranean military fortress built in total secrecy during the 1950s by direct order of Joseph Stalin. Why was it built here? Because during the atomic arms race, Stalin needed a command center that could survive a direct nuclear strike from the United States. To keep the project hidden from Western spy planes, workers excavated the tunnels entirely under the cover of night, using the exact same engineering technology used to build the Moscow metro system. Inside, over 2,500 elite military personnel were stationed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their sole purpose? To monitor the global situation and launch a retaliatory nuclear strike within minutes if ordered. The atmosphere down there is genuinely terrifying. The blast doors weigh 20 tons each, sealed with thick rubber gaskets designed to make the bunker 100% airtight against radiation and chemical weapons. Today, walking through its rusting, red-lit iron corridors feels less like a museum and more like walking through a sleeping beast waiting for a war that fortunately never happened. Number 3. The Sonnenberg Mega Shelter in Switzerland. When people think of Switzerland, they picture snow-capped Alps, luxury watches, and historic neutrality. But behind that peaceful facade lies one of the most heavily fortified, paranoid nations on Earth. In fact, under Swiss law passed during the Cold War, every single citizen in the country is legally required to have access to a nuclear shelter. In the 1970s, Swiss engineers took this law to an absolute extreme. Beneath the quiet city of Lucerne, they constructed the Sonnenberg Tunnel, a massive 7-story underground complex built directly into a motor vehicle tunnel. Designed to shelter a staggering 20,000 citizens simultaneously during World War III, it was officially the largest civilian nuclear fallout shelter on the planet. This wasn't just a simple room under the ground. It was a fully functional subterranean city. It had its own operating rooms, a surgical center, a prison, a radio broadcast studio, and sophisticated water filtration systems capable of cleaning radioactive water. However, there was a fatal design flaw that engineers only realized later. Closing the massive 350-ton blast doors required more than 24 hours of manual labor. Furthermore, psychological tests showed that keeping 20,000 panicking people trapped underground in tight bunk beds would have led to absolute chaos within days. Today, the complex has been downsized, leaving behind a massive, silent subterranean relic of Cold War preparation. Number 4. The Regierungsbunker in Germany. Deep beneath the lush, rolling vineyards of the AHR Valley near Bonn, West Germany built what was arguably the most expensive and top-secret underground tunnel network in NATO history, the Regierungsbunker. Stretching over 17 kilometers in length, this ultra-secret bunker was designed to serve as an emergency seat of government for 3,000 top West German officials, including the Chancellor, in the event of an all-out nuclear conflict with the Soviet Union. The cost? Billions of Deutsche Marks funded entirely in secret. Inside this mountain city, no expense was spared. It was equipped with its own dentist clinics, TV news studios for emergency broadcasts, fully staffed kitchens, and luxury private suites for high-ranking politicians. It was designed to run completely isolated from the outside world for at least 30 days. Yet, despite its astronomical cost and engineering genius, the bunker was rendered obsolete almost as soon as it was finished due to the invention of multi-megaton hydrogen bombs that could penetrate deep mountain bedrock. When the Cold War collapsed, the German government spent millions more just to get the facility and seal the tunnels, leaving only a tiny portion preserved as a terrifying monument to human waste and political paranoia. Number 5. Muskö Underground Naval Base in Sweden. What if I told you that an entire naval base, capable of docking massive destroyers and submarines, was hollowed out inside a solid granite mountain on a remote island? Located on the island of Muskö, Swedish engineers spent 10 long years during the 1950s and 60s excavating over 1.5 million tons of solid granite rock. Their goal? To build a fortress that was completely invisible to Soviet spy satellites and immune to tactical nuclear strikes. Opened in 1969, the Muskö base features miles of cavernous underground docks where warships can sail directly into the rock face from the sea. Inside the mountain lies an entire subterranean military city, dry docks for ship repairs, weapons arsenals, mess halls, and a fully equipped hospital with over 1,000 beds. For decades, the exact location and inner workings of this base were classified top secret. Although it was partially mothballed after the collapse of the Soviet Union, recent geopolitical shifts in Northern Europe have forced the Swedish Navy to reactivate parts of this impenetrable granite fortress once again. Number 6. Object 3001 in Podborsko, Poland. For decades during the Cold War, the Soviet leadership repeatedly denied storing nuclear warheads in satellite nations like Poland. They lied to the world. Deep within the dense, isolated forests of northern Poland sat Object 3001, one of 3 ultra-secret Soviet nuclear warhead storage depots. Constructed in total secrecy in the late 1960s, these bunkers were garrisoned exclusively by Soviet Spetsnaz units. In fact, Polish military officers were strictly forbidden from coming anywhere near the outer security perimeter. Inside these climate-controlled underground vaults, multi-ton nuclear warheads were mounted on special heavy cranes, kept in a constant state of readiness to be loaded onto tactical missiles aimed directly at Western European capitals like Paris, London, and West Berlin. When the Soviet Union abruptly collapsed in 1991, the Soviet troops packed up their classified documents and vanished overnight, leaving behind heavy blast doors and silent vault rooms. Today, Podborsko is one of the extremely rare surviving Soviet nuclear storage facilities on Earth that remains completely intact. 19 to 2,200 hours numb. Number 7. Bunker Parukářka in Prague, Czech Republic. Prague is famous across the globe for its stunning Gothic spires, cobblestone streets, and rich cultural history. But beneath the popular Parukářka Park lies a dark, multi-level underground labyrinth that thousands of tourists walk over every single day without having any idea it exists. Built during the height of the 1950s nuclear scare under Soviet direction, Bunker Parukářka was designed as a heavy civil defense shelter intended to hold up to 5,000 citizens during an atomic strike. Connected by an intricate network of deep, damp tunnels, the complex had its own heavy diesel generators, air scrubbers, water reserves, and reinforced blast doors engineered to absorb the shockwave of a nearby explosion. What makes Parukářka so chilling today is its raw, unpolished state of preservation. Rusted air filtration pumps, Soviet-era gas masks, and vintage emergency communication gear still line the dark corridors, offering a terrifying glimpse into the everyday dread lived by people behind the Iron Curtain. Number 8. West Star Bunker in Affi, Italy. Tucked away near the scenic, sunlit shores of Lake Garda in northern Italy lies Monte Muskö. Hidden deep inside this mountain rests West Star, NATO's largest subterranean command and control bunker in southern Europe. Constructed between 1960 and 1966, West Star was designed to serve as the top-secret operational headquarters for NATO's land forces in the region if World War III broke out with the Warsaw Pact. Spanning over 13,000 square meters, the facility was built beneath hundreds of meters of solid rock. It was engineered to operate in complete isolation for months on end, equipped with independent water wells, nuclear-grade air filtration, and advanced tactical communications hardware. Decommissioned in 2007, this vast military fortress now lies silent inside the Italian hills, an abandoned ghost town preserved in dark, echoing concrete. Number 9. REGAN Vest in Denmark. In the quiet forest of Rold Skov, 60 meters beneath the earth, lies Denmark's ultimate Cold War secret, REGAN Vest. Constructed in the 1960s, this facility was designed to house the Danish royal family and key cabinet ministers in the event of nuclear annihilation. Unlike many abandoned bunkers that were looted, vandalized, or forgotten, REGAN Vest remained a strictly guarded state secret until very recently. Because of this extreme secrecy, its interior is an astonishingly preserved time capsule of 1960s Danish design, complete with original mid-century furniture, retro communications gear, and the Queen's private suite. The bunker's unique honeycombed, circular tunnel layout was specifically engineered by physicists to disperse the kinetic shockwave of thermonuclear detonation. It stands as an eerie, perfectly preserved window into a time when world leaders prepared for the end of civilization. And finally, number 10. Bunker Wallenberg in East Germany. Out of all the bunkers on this list, this was perhaps one of the most critical and dangerous facilities operated by the Soviet military during the Cold War. Codenamed Tropospheric Station 301, Bunker Wallenberg was part of a secret communications network designed to transmit launch codes across the Eastern Bloc using high-frequency radio waves bounced off the Earth's troposphere. Why was this site so terrifyingly important? Because during a full-scale nuclear exchange, standard satellite and radio communications will be instantly destroyed by electromagnetic pulses, EMP. Wallenberg was specifically designed to withstand an EMP blast, ensuring that the Soviet High Command could still issue the final order to launch retaliatory nuclear strikes across the globe. Deep underground, behind 4-ton steel blast doors, Soviet operators sat surrounded by high-voltage equipment and encrypted teletype machines. When the Berlin Wall fell and the Soviet Union collapsed, troops packed up their sensitive gear and fled, leaving behind a terrifying subterranean shell designed to coordinate the apocalypse. Looking at these 10 massive structures, one chilling question remains. As global tensions rise once again, are new secret mega bunkers being dug beneath our feet right now? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button for more deep dive investigative content, and I will see you in the next video.